Shalom. This is Adasa Basaiwan returning with chapter 13, part 4. We're looking at the Roman Catholic Church and Christianity concluded. Now, this is all in connection with the book of Revelation and especially the chapter 13 parts 1 and 2, which is the chapter in the book of Revelation regarding the whore of Babylon, the judgment on the whore of Babylon. It begins in this chapter, and what I'm doing here is showing you with plenty of proof what the Roman Catholic Church is really all about, where it came from, where it's headed, and the connection to that and Christianity, because not all Christian churches are Roman Catholic, but Roman Catholic churches are all Christians, right? And along with that, you're going to see that there are connections with just about every religion here on the earth. The main ones that we know about, and even the secret ones that we don't know about. They're all connected. And how can we tell that they're connected? By signs and symbols. All right. So in part 3, we looked at some symbols, we looked at some signs, things that people wear, like the cross or the ankh. We look at what the meaning of the ankh is. It is the cross is actually a modified ankh, and we took a look at a few other things as well. So if you're looking at this for the first time, please go back to part 3 so that you can get the full benefit of learning about the Roman Catholic Church and Christianity. I know many Christians would love to crucify me. But in the future, they will see what this body, this entity is truly, what it is truly about. It is not what we were sold it to mean or to be. It is actual pagan. Every religion on this earth is pagan, with the exception of the ministry that Hamashiach left on the earth. He left it in the hands of his apostles, who left it in the hands of their disciples. And so we have that ministry here today if we believe in Hamashiach, if we obey his commandments and walk in them. That is the ministry that Hamashiach left on the earth. He did not leave a church. He did not leave Christianity. All right. He did not leave the Pentecostal or the evangelical church. He left none of those things on the earth. Those evolved to draw the true people, the children of Yahweh, into pagan worship. And there are still many, many, many of our brethren out there calling on Lord, calling on God, calling on Jesus, calling on Christ. They're calling on the names and titles of pagan gods, of idols. All right? And we were warned not to do that. And they claim, well, we don't really know the name of Allahayam anyway, so he knows my heart. He knows who I'm calling when I'm calling his name. So, okay, you're on a busy street and you see your friend in the distance, and your friend's name is, let's say, David, and you call him Judah, or you call him Henry. You call him by any other name except his name. Is he going to look? Is he going to respond to you? All right. Allahayam is not any different. The only problem is some people will say, well, when we were in Christianity and we used to pray to Jesus, that he still responded to us, because when we were in the dark and we did not know who we were calling on, he had pity on us. He had mercy on us. And he protected us up to a certain point. But now that he has awakened us to his identity, to our identity, why are we still calling on the names and titles of our slave masters? He's not going to answer this time around. No, he's not. He's not going to answer. All right? Because he has given us all the information we need to receive. Plus, he has given us his Ruach Kadash, who will reveal in the time appointed his identity, our identity. And once we know our identity, then we need to move away from the things that we were brainwashed to believe and to do, and even to speak. It's time. And later on in this study, you're going to see something that is an eye-opener. It was an eye-opener for me too. All right, so let's get started on this. This is the conclusion, and you're going to have some charts and whatnots to look at so that you can see with your own two eyes what I am speaking about. All right. Okay, so the first, I guess, I don't know what to call this, but a chart with different bits and like a collage. There are two collages actually. And the first one it would be my left. It is the Baphomet and its pagan symbol. So this is the one that I'm referring to. If you're watching, the Baphomet is this creature here. And then we're going to look at some symbols concerning this Baphomet. We're going to do a detailed look at that. I've done this before in the anti-Messiah study. You can go back to look at that, but I still pulled out some of it in this study. So the Baphomet here is the Knights of Templar God. This is what they worship. And they're still worshiping it. These devils are still worshiping this creature here. We'll see why in a minute. But what I want you to pay attention to, because we saw this cross here, and you see who's behind it. None other than that Pope, that wicked man, right? And he has this crosier with two serpents. And what does that look like? Doesn't it look like the phallic symbol of the Baphomet? And actually, this whole symbol also looks like the symbol for pharmakia, the medical symbol, all right? All these are connected, you know. Anything medical, anything to do with medicine, anything at all, is called pharmakia. And pharmakia in Greek means witchcraft. All right. And the reason why some people, actually the greater majority of the people on the earth on medications, is because they believe the men in white coats or women in white coats that they're sick and they need to take this poison, which poisons you further. It makes you dependent on their substance, because you go in for one problem and you come out. They give you something. It's supposed to heal you, but what it does, it puts a band-aid over that problem and creates 10 more problems. You ever read the pamphlet when you go to the pharmacy and you get your drugs? You ever read the side effects? All right. The side effects outweigh the benefits. That was an eye-opener for me back in the day when I used to go to those people in white coats, the lab rats. All right. So this crossier here that this black pope is carrying is a symbol of the Baphomet. And the Baphomet is the god of the Knights Templar, and they're all connected together. We're going to see that at the very end. I have a map, sort of a chart. And I guess the question we're going to ask is, why does the staff of the Pope look like the phallic symbol of the Baphomet? Well, because they all worship the same gods. All right? And because they're sending a clear message that they are worshippers of this God. Any symbol that they wear that points to any of their gods means that they're worshippers of that God. And it's the same thing with us. When we wear their symbols, we are, in an abstract way, saying we are condoning these gods, and we are also worshippers of these gods. Even in ignorance. Now you're going to see something about ignorance later on too. Even in ignorance, a lot of our people, not me, a lot of our people love brand names. If it's not a brand, we don't want it. We want to wear what our idol, whether it's an entertainer, singer, basketball player, whoever, if it's not them wearing it or created it, because a lot of them, if you notice, these entertainers, they go into fashion design, they go into cosmetics, right? Another way to lure you into their sphere of darkness. And you want to be like them, so you go and you get your weaves put in, go get the Botox and whatnot. You go get the stuff done to yourself to make yourself look like these creatures. You put on the makeup and you look just like one of those men that wear makeup to look like a woman. That's what makeup was created for, even way back in the day. If you go back to the book of Adam and Eve, the first book of Adam and Eve, that's when makeup was introduced. We didn't have to wear makeup because a woman naturally looks like a woman and a man looks like a man. There's a definite line between the two. A broad line too. But what has been happening throughout the ages, that line is becoming narrower and narrower and narrower. Narrower. Where there's no line really, especially when you look at the entertainers and so on and so forth, there are no lines anymore. And it's so terrible now because now there's a inversion where you have the men looking soft and you have the women looking masculine. Why? Because the women are men and the men are women. They're inverted. And it's intentional because the message that they're selling us today is that if you want to be a real man, if you want to have fame and fortune, and you want all the ladies, because a lot of them pretend that they got all these ladies hanging on their arms, and vice versa, these ladies got all these men hanging on their arms. But it's all Hollywood production. And what they're trying to sell you a message. To tell you, if you want to be like me, if you want to be popular, if you want to have fame and fortune, you need to be like me. And to be like me, you're going to have to tone down that masculinity in the men. And for the women, you need to act strong, be powerful, right? But if you notice that when you look at certain females, whether in politics or entertainment, they have a very strong male energy. They give off this male energy. And the men, they give off this very feminine energy. And that's intentional. Again, because of the inversion. The very few men that are true men, they still surrender to this inversion by marrying someone who is inverted. And those are few and far apart. All right? So this is why, if you've noticed in the last little while, that there's a surge of the alphabet people, the alphabet community being prominent. And it's because all the right people are in the correct places that they need to be in, so that the laws can be passed in favor of these people. So that's what we're up against. And if you have children, and I've said this before, take them out of the schools. They don't need their education anymore. They don't need their education, period. They're not going to teach them anything except to brainwash them. And children are very impressionable. All right? Especially if they see their friends going in a certain direction. They want to follow their friends. And if they don't, then they become outsiders, then they become ostracized, and they feel bad. So they surrender and submit. Now, do you want that for your children? Do you want to lose your children in this evil, wicked agenda? Get your children out of school. Get them out. Even the so-called Christian schools, get them out. Heavenly Father is getting ready to regather his people. It's not going according to your education. You don't have to be educated to be received by Hamashiach. What he's looking for are people who will be obedient to him and walk in his commandments. And if your children are being taught by these wicked people, they're not going to teach them anything except to spurn and to mock Allah. And they're going to turn their minds and hearts away from you, the parents. Because right now, a child don't need the permission of its parents to do whatever it wants to do. You just go to the principal of the school or whomever is in charge in the school system, and you can get what you want done to yourself without the knowledge or permission of the parents. Get your children out of these schools if you want to preserve them. And if you don't have any children, don't get any. If you've been watching my studies, there will be a time when we will multiply again. Don't bring any more children. Don't bring any more children in this world. If you have one, be happy with that one and make sure that that one child stays the course with you. And the way how you do that is get them out of the school system. It is a system. It is part of the beast system. That's why you're seeing the alphabet group, the alphabet community, big in the school system teaching your children. Look at the books that they're teaching them from. Talking about two mummies or two daddies. They're teaching them things that they don't need to know. They're not teaching them about the ABC or 1, 2, 3. They're not teaching them the 3 R's. All right? They're teaching them all the pagan stuff to corrupt their minds and their hearts, especially against the parents and against Allah, to draw them away into the darkness. Did you not hear them chanting here the other day in NYC? They had their big parade. They're coming after your children. If you don't have any children, don't get any. There's a time and a place for everything under Allah. And once we gathered by Him, there will be a time to have children. And you don't have to worry about how they're going to fare. You don't have to worry about them being corrupted, because we will be in a safe place. Stop trying to live like the Joneses. Stop trying to live like the people you see on the social media. They're all corrupt. Half of them can't even have children. Some of those babies, the majority of those babies come from farms. If you think what they're putting out here now in the public about the pods that they can grow a child in an artificial pod womb, if you think that this is something new, they've been using that artificial WOMB. Have to spell it because of the stupid algorithm. They've been using it for generations. And that's why a lot of these so-called entertainers, they don't have family. You don't hear them talking about their mama or their papa or their uncle or their auntie or the cousins, nothing. You may come across one parent, one person that claim that they're a daddy or a mommy. One. But they, as far as they're concerned, they don't have a real family per se, like how you and I have family with aunts and uncles and cousins. These people pop up on the scene out of nowhere. And you believe them because they come from rags to riches. And they're singing your tune. And yet you know nothing about their life. Only what they put out there. If only you could be a fly on their wall, you see that they came from the farm, the baby farm, and they've put on the scene because they are of the Nephilim bloodline, and they will do all that they're told to do to help to corrupt you and your children. And yet you want to be like them. It comes from ignorance. Stop being ignorant and get knowledge. When you are in the knowledge of the Most High, then ignorance will have no part with you. Well, many of our people, even the ones that claim that they are awakened, they operate in total ignorance. They're still going after Mammon. They still worship Mammon, just like our forefathers in the wilderness. They still worship that golden calf. They still want to have a life here on this earth, under the system. Yes, we will live on the earth, but we'll be living with Hamashiach, because the government will be on his shoulders, or his shoulder. He will be the one reigning on the earth. Therefore, holiness and righteousness will be reigning on the earth. That's when life will be sweet. But right now, we have our brethren that still want to have a life here under the system because they think that they can beat the system. Good luck. You can't fight against them either. And you don't think that you can call on this Jesus or Christ or whomever you worship to come and help you. You're going to get sucked in and sucked under. And then the Most High is going to wash his hands off you and leave you for the devils to use like a ping pong ball. Because you're corrupt. You're corrupt. All right. That's my rant for the morning. Oh my God. If only our people can see with eyes wide open, not wide shut, eyes wide open. If only our people can see based on the history of our people, how we are and why we are in the place that we are in today. And if only they can see the future, what is heading our way, what we can have, our inheritance, if only they can see. But they're blind. Our people are blind. They're deaf and they're dumb and they're ignorant. Okay. Now, why does the bishop sport the Maltese cross of the ancient Assyrians and of the Knights Templar? So if you go over here in this little chart thing, we have this bishop here, and what is he wearing on his head but the mitre, the bishop mitre? And what does he have there? He have a whale, and that cross, and this squiggly line is supposed to represent water. Right? So he's telling you where this mitre is what this mitre is symbolic of his fish god here by the name of Dagon. This is Dagon right here in the middle. I showed that to you in part 1. And we know that Dagon is the god of the Philistines. So he's wearing a hat that is symbolic of the Philistines' god, yet he's wearing this symbol of the Maltese. It's called the Maltese cross, and it was originally, if you look at this here, I showed you a picture of this here, but I only showed you only saw the 3 parts of the cross, but this is where it's taken from. This is that king, and he's wearing a cross way back in the day, and he's wearing another he's wearing the same cross. Now here's the thing, if you can imagine, look at the shape of this cross. It's like 4 triangles, right? Now if you had to imagine, you get a piece of paper and cut out those triangles and you piece them together, do you know what shape you're going to get? You're going to get a pyramid. And we looked at that in the last lesson. All right. So this cross is actually a folded out pyramid. All right. So not only is he wearing the cross of the Knights Templar, the cross that the ancient Assyrians wore, but it's also symbolic of, let me show you, let me bring it up again, the pyramid right here. And it would be a 3-dimensional pyramid, and we talked about this pyramid that is found at the back of the $1 bill. The one-eyed God, who is symbolic of Horus and Ra. All right. So this person here looks like this. Looks like this one here. Looks like him. They're all demonic looking together. They're all demons, right? Oh my goodness. But it is a folded out pyramid. All right. Now, because they're sending, and I asked the question and I'm giving you an answer. because they're sending a clear message that they are all descendants of these ancient bloodlines. So let me ask the question so it will make sense what I'm saying. Why does this bishop sport the Maltese cross of the ancient Assyrians and of the Knights Templar? Because they're sending a clear message that they are all descendants of these ancient bloodlines. And their worship of these gods leads to only one bottom line, that all gods, no matter the names or culture, are the same. Let me repeat that. Because all of these gods that they worship leads to only one bottom line, that all gods, no matter the names or culture, are the same. So don't be ignorant. Do not be ignorant. So let's take a closer look at this Baphomet. Now, the Baphomet originated during the Middle Ages and was worshipped by the Knights Templar. We talked about them in the last study as well. They were thugs in the name of Christ. they were Christ thugs, and they killed and stole in the name of Christ. And now this Baphomet is worshipped by the Masons and the Church of Satan. And when I say Masons, I'm talking about the Freemasons. We spoke about them too. The Illuminati. Remember we talked about that when we looked at this pyramid? Okay. All of them are connected. They're like fungus that grows on the earth. And they seem to be all spread out everywhere. But when you look underneath the surface, they're all connected. It's a massive network underneath the surface. And this is how it is with these people. Right? They even seem to come against each other. Oh, I don't like you. Oh, they threaten one another. Don't let the threats fool you. It's all part of the game that they're playing. They're all connected under the surface. All right, I said this before. Let me say it again. There are only two bloodlines on this earth. The bloodline that Allah created, and then you have the Nephilim bloodline. The bloodline that came through the fallen angels. And these people, no matter who they may say they are or what they are doing, they're all connected under the surface. They're all related because they all have and they all come from the same bloodline, the Nephilim bloodline. That's why they're merciless. They have no compassion. And all they want to do is to destroy the human race or corrupt it as much as they possibly can so that the human race will join them in their lake of fire. Well, they don't call it lake of fire. They think it's going to be a paradise for them. That's what their father of lies have been lying to them and telling them. It's going to be like a utopia. Right? But they're trying to destroy the human race because they figure that they have the strength to destroy Allah. They think that they have the power to destroy Allah because that's what the father of lies have been telling them. Destroy the human race and then he'll be without people and therefore he will be powerless. Right? If we bring people over on our side or we destroy who doesn't want to join us, then he will be powerless and then we can rule. These are the things that they believe. They believe that they have the power to rule. But what Satan hasn't told them, what any of these Satans haven't told these agents, these earthly agents, is that they take their instruction from the Most High. He tells them what to do and when to do it. They can't do anything without his permission, but they will never let that on. They will never let the agents on the earth know this. So the agents on the earth believe that their God, their gods, all these Satans, have the ultimate power. And that's the that's the part that, it really blows your mind to think that they're so deceived that they cannot see the truth. And the Most High has allowed them to be so deceived that they will carry on doing the wicked things that they're doing. Because He wants to destroy them all, even the earthly agents and anyone that joins forces with these agents. Because they want great wealth, they want position, or they want power. So anyone that goes after mammon, that's why I warn you. Stay away from mammon. You might be poor now, but you're building your wealth in the heavenlies. You're storing your wealth, your riches in the heavenlies because of your obedience to Allah Hayam. You have a great inheritance waiting for you. Don't worry about the silver or the gold. You're going to get things that you have never even dreamed of. And you're not going to have to do anything to build it. You're just going to walk in and the house is yours. The garden is yours. You're not going to have to do anything. Not by the sweat of your brow like how you have to do it today. Today you got to break your back to make $1 so you can get that house or that car. And it's not even a fancy house, just a tiny little house on a little plot of land. And yet you don't own the land, you only own the house. And so if the gov want to come and take back their land, what are you going to do? You're going to have to leave the house because you can't put it on your back and go anywhere with it. No one owns land on this earth as it is right now except the govs all over the world. You know who I'm talking about when I say gov. I mean governments. Trying to be a little bit more careful with my words. All right? You'll own nothing and be happy. That is their mantra. So stop going after mammon because you're going to be sucked in to their evil web of deceit. Just like they're already sucked in to the evil web of deceit of these Satans. And you're going to go right along with them if you're not careful. All right? If you're not careful, you're going to be sucked under. All right, let's move on to Baphomet. So, second paragraph. Now, a nearly identical bronze statue was unveiled by the Satanic Temple in Detroit. They want to move it to Oklahoma City's Capitol building opposite the Ten Commandments monument. Now, whether they've done that already, I don't know, and I really don't care. Now, the difference between this image that was drawn and that of the statue has no breasts, but it has two children, a young boy and a girl, gazing up in awe at this statue. So that means that what it is telling us is that what they're teaching the children in the schools is going to cause the children to be in awe of this God. It's going to draw them to worship this God. And it's happening. It is happening. You have a few parents that are standing up and saying, why are you teaching children this garbage in the schools? And they pull out these books and they start to read. And frankly speaking, I have to turn it off because it's too tender for my ears. Sorry, not too tender. It is too evil for my tender ears. That's what I meant to say. When they start reading from these books that they're teaching the little ones in schools. Oh my. And you have time to go before the board to complain? Man, the first thing I would do is write a letter So I'm moving our kids out of school because I'm moving them into another school. And you know what that other school will be? In my house. in my house. I would take the book and burn it, send a notice and say, the children, we're moving. They don't need to know moving where. You're moving into the light. You're not lying. Moving your children out of darkness and into the light. You got to know how to deal with these people. All right? And you teach your babies at home. Get them off the social media as well. While you're at it, get them off the TV. In fact, if you have cable, turn off your cable. Save yourself a few dollars along the way. But get into the word of Allah. Be a family. You stay off your phone looking at Facebook and all these different social media and get into the word of Allah. Now, if I said God before, for some reason that word popped into my head. But I meant to say to get into the word of Allah. If I use the word God, forgive me, because I'm using this word throughout this study and this, yeah. But I meant Allah. Get into the word. Stay in the word, because the only way that we will be protected is by Him. He will protect us when we sleep at night and when we rise up in the morning. And until we go back to bed again. So He'll protect us throughout the day and protect your babies too. These people are wicked. And you can't fight the system. The system is being set is being developing over the generations. And now this is the era in which it is putting out all its agendas, because it has all the right people in all the right places. So no matter how blue you get in the face, how angry you get, you're not going to be able to change these people's agenda. You're not going to get them to take the books and burn them. You're wasting your breath, you're wasting your energy, and you're wasting your time. The best thing to do is pull your children out and teach them at home. And get into the word of Allah. Don't worry about math, don't worry. Teach them a little English, but that's not even our language. So all the things that they learn in school, what they were supposed to be learning in school, is not even relevant when Allah takes us out of here. Because we're not going to be speaking English or French or Spanish. We'll be speaking our own language, the language that He speaks. We won't have any need for math, because everything will be obvious to our mind. Every mystery that is there, He will make it obvious to our minds. In other words, we will become automatic geniuses, because He will make His mind known to us once He regathers us. So you don't have to worry about your children. Don't worry about them and education. What is education anyway? It is their poison that they're putting in the minds of these little ones. And they don't care. All right. So the difference between that sculpture that is right there in Oklahoma City and this image here is that this one has female breasts, while that other one, they tried to make it a little bit more masculine, but it still has the two children there, right? It still has all the different images that you see here, symbols that you see here. Now the image is the epitome of Satan, with all its symbols and hand gestures and coded messages. So we have the head and feet of a goat. So it's quite obvious. We have that head there that looks like a goat. And you know these people worship the goat. The goat, their goat god, another name for him is Pan, by the way. You remember that movie or even television series and even books. It's called Peter Pan. So that's who Peter Pan is. Peter Pan is the goat god. And it calls us to fall in love with Peter Pan. All right, so this here is Peter Pan, but without the human look, without the pointed hat and the green outfit and the tights and whatever, right? This is Peter Pan, the goat god. So he has the feet of a goat, head of a goat, which we know is the number 6 because beasts were created on day 6. Then we have the torso, which is from the neck to the waist of a woman. That's why it has breasts like a woman. That's 6 because woman was created on day 6. And then the lower half, which is this phallic symbol, which is supposed to represent a male genitalia, is male. And that is also 6. And that's where you get the 3 6s. The 3 6s are symbolic of 3 in one body. Male, female, and beast, all operating in one body. However, in actual people, the beast will be a Nephilim spirit or Satan. All right? That will make up the beast. All right. And this is where we understand the prophecy of Yawachanan about the number of the beast. Man and woman and beast were created on the 6th day. Hence the number of the beast being 3 6s. On his head we have the 2 horns. And this light here, this torch, is supposed to symbolize enlightenment. And this is what these people claim when they go up. The higher they go up in their secret organizations, they call it enlightenment. All right? When they get knowledge of the dark arts, right, the magic, the witchcraft, they call that enlightenment. And that's where that light comes from, right here. Now, his knowledge can only be acquired from this God. Now, the 5-pointed star right here, when inverted, represents the head of a goat, or it looks like the head of a goat. So even if it is not inverted as it is here, because you have the 1 point up and the 2 points down, but if you turn that around and you have the 2 points up and 1 point down, it will have the shape of this goat head. All right? So anytime you see a 5-pointed star, it is symbolic of Baphomet. It is a satanic symbol, and people still wear it. People use it. All right? It is an evil symbol. And later on we're going to see the 6-pointed star that our people love to wear because they think is the star of Dawad. All right? All right, let's move on. Still on the Baphomet. Then you have the 2 arms. So we have one arm. This one pointed upward is the feminine arm. And it's pointing to the white moon. Everything about this object here is duality. It speaks of duality. That's why it has male and female. Don't worry about the beast. All right? But it's mostly showing you male and female, black or white, because you have the white crescent moon and the black crescent moon. All right? So it's showing you duality. Up, up, 2 fingers up, 2 fingers down, thumb in, thumb out. They all have a purpose. So let's see what the purpose is. So you have 2 arms, one feminine pointing upward to the white moon with 2 fingers and thumb inward. It means as above, as within. And then you have this other arm is masculine. All right, and it's pointing with 2 fingers as well and thumb out, and it's pointing to the black moon. as below, as without. And the two words inscribed on each hand, this one here is solve, means destroy. And this word here on the male arm is called, it says coagula, means to rebuild. So you destroy in order to rebuild. And isn't that familiar? Let's go back to here where it talks about it was the New World Order. There was also another symbol for destruction, to destroy, and then to rebuild. Okay, maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'll get to it. Maybe it's in a further slide, another slide. But there was another symbol that we looked at, and it gave us the same message about in order to destroy in order to rebuild. So maybe it's on this study because it's probably on this study. So let's go on from there. And now we have two black wings, like the wings of an angel, showing that it is a dark angel or fallen angel. And then you have the lower masculine half is showing a reptilian scaly body. If you look between there, that's not a design, but that's the part of his, because if you look outside of this curvature here, you see scales. Again, beast, right? And it also tells you that these people are reptilians. You've been hearing that, and when you say this to people, they want to say that you are you're into controversy. You're a controversy theorist, right? And people didn't want to hear, because we've been talking about these things for years, right? For years, and especially in the last few years when things started to spin out of control. Well, spin out of control as far as our lives are concerned here on the earth. And when we start saying and pointing towards certain things, people are like, oh no, you're wearing a tinfoil hat kind of attitude, right? And now we're seeing all these things unfolding as we have said they will. So he has scales in here, all his lower body, because these people are also considered reptilian. All right. So they want to destroy this earth. They want to destroy the economy. They want to destroy in order to rebuild. So in order to get something new, like the NWO, it stands for New World Order. In order for it to be a New World Order, you got to destroy the old one. So that's probably what I was remembering, what I said in the last study, right? But this here confirms what they want to do. They want to destroy in order to rebuild, build back better. Remember those words? All right, we heard those words a lot when that thing happened in 2020. 2020 or before. Maybe before. All right. But that has been a mantra that has been chanted in political circles about building back better. I believe even Trump guy was speaking about that, and then we kept hearing it in the last little while as well. And this is what they're talking about, to destroy in order to rebuild. These people are so wicked, it's unbelievable. So yes, the lower masculine half is showing a reptilian scaly lower body with the phallic symbol that also looks like the symbol used for medicine, which we know is witchcraft, pharmakia. All right. The feet are those of a goat to complete this creature's hybrid androgynous elements, sitting in its yoga-like pose. Yoga, if you're doing yoga, you need to get all that demonic religious, because it is part of a religion. You need to stop doing this nonsense. All right? I started seeing churches endorsing yoga, talking about the chakra, I think that's what it's called, and all these different points. Those are demonic points. And they talk about this serpent rising up in your spine, all kind of nonsense. Yoga and anything affiliated to yoga is demonic. You're opening up yourself to demonic possession. All right? It's all demonic. So this goat god here, and if you doubt me, look at the goat god, is sitting in a yoga pose, hovering over the globe earth. We know the earth is not a globe, but they're still trying to sell that garbage to us. And many of our people are still buying it. You look up in the sky, you see a dome. You see a curvature. If you're sitting on a curvature, why is the sky above you like a curvature? So are we on a circular surface underneath another circular surface? Like I said, stop being ignorant. All right. So this is telling us, because it's sitting, hovering above the earth, it's telling us that this image will be controlling the earth. This is the demonic, evil entity that will be controlling the earth. And look around you today. Is it wrong? Who is controlling the earth today? It's people. It's people. Today we're witnessing that this evil entity is truly ruling in high ranks in governments and courts all over the world. And these qualities will be that of the anti-Messiah. All right. And notice that the cloven feet of this entity is like the beard of Jesus. Look at the shape of this. Look at the shape of this hoof, right? Let's look at the shape of Jesus's beard. You see? Doesn't that look like a cloven foot of a goat? Yes, it does. All four of them. All right. Let's move on. So now we're moving on to this same demon. I don't think he's the same one. I think this is this one is the one that died. The one that retired and died. But these people were all demons, every single one of them. And if you notice, like, you see how he got a black eye there? If you notice, do a search on the internet and type in black eye, right? And you're going to see actors, actresses, famous people, the Pope, bishops, all kinds of people, presidents with a black eye. One black eye. Why are they all sporting a black eye? All right. Whatever they're doing, they have to get a black eye. And when they come in the public, because they can put on makeup if they want to cover it up, but they show it. And the reason why they show this black eye, because they're sending a message to their God and to their affiliates. All right? These people, they do demonic things. They do demonic rituals. All right. Now we're seeing the symbols, and they're telling us in volumes who these Roman Catholics really are and who they worship. So let's go deeper in the rabbit hole. Look at the shape of this mitre. You see the mitre, and this is supposed to be, I guess this is the Virgin. That's what it looks like. And the Virgin has the sun around its head. This is Semiramis, you know. or you call her, this is Isis, Semiramis, Ishtar, Ashtarte, whatever you want to, this is that image. Mary, Eve, this, the mother of God, or the queen of heaven, this is her. This is it. And that's why it has that glow all around it. This is not to show how holy it is. It's showing you what it represents. These rays around it is symbolic of the sun god Ra, or Horus, or any of the other names that is called by. And you have the children again bowing down and worshiping this queen of heaven. And you see here with the modified ankh in his hand, and also sporting the Maltese cross, which we know is a pyramid, right? So now if we go over here now in this pic, we have here the mitre on the right side has a 6-pointed star that is called the Star of Dawud. And we know that Dawud has no star. There's no star concerning Dawud in the Bible. If it's not in the Bible, it is false. All right? Especially because we know what this 6-pointed star truly represents. The Father said, don't worship anything, no image. So they have all these images that they worship, and they tell you it's okay to worship because it's all to do with God. But they don't tell you it is to do with their God, because our Allah Hayam tells us don't create any image and don't bow down to them. All right? So we know that the one has no star, has never been mentioned in the Bible, but here it is. And here we are, brainwashed to believe that this star is biblical because the name Dawud or David is associated with it. And you got all the Hebrew Israelites walking around with this demonic star on their chest or on their heads. Now this star is a pagan symbol used by those who practice Judaism. That's why I keep saying to you, Judaism is a pagan religion. Just like Christianity, just like Roman Catholic, just like all the different religions on this earth. Right? And especially those people calling themselves Israel. We are not Israel. We need to stop calling ourselves by this demonic name as well. We are Yashra'al. If you look at the name, in fact, I'm going into that next. I'll be repeating myself. But look at the name Israel. If you break it down, I-S, Ra, R-A, El. And the word El means God. Anything that ends with El is God. Lord G, God. Has nothing to do with Allah Hayam. So the question that they're asking or putting out there when you say the word Israel is Ra, God. When you worship and you call on the name Israel and you call yourself Israel, you are condoning this God. You're worshiping this God. El means God in the Hebrew language. And I said that before. But when you look at the word, the name, Yashra'al, Yashar means upright. Al is abbreviated for Allah Hayam. So upright, we are the upright in Allah Hayam. That's who we are. We have nothing to do with the sun god. Stop calling yourself Israel. And Hebrew is not our language either. They're the fakers. We know that's the first thing that people from our community would say. Oh yeah, the people in our land, they're the fakers. They're the fake ones. And yet, everything that they do, these same people that calling them out will want to do. They want to worship on the same day, which is Saturday, right? They want to worship on the feast days, the date that they give, they put on the 6-pointed star. All right? All the things that these fakers do in Judaism, our so-called people that's supposed to be awakened, they do the same things too. So you claim that you're awakened, but you're still blind to go follow the fakers? If they're fake, then the religion that they're following is fake. It can't be real. You can't say, well, they stole our language and they stole our culture. How could they steal something from us? Well, how can you say that they stole what they have from us? They stole the land, but they give themselves this fake name. They give themselves this modified language called Hebrew. And they give themselves these fake feast days to worship on. It's all fake. They stole, yes, from us, but they rebrandish it. They make it a new brand, in other words. And they call it their culture, their language, their name. And we want to go back to them and steal what they have modified and call it ours. And the truth is there before anyone, because Hamashiach, when he died, he left Rawach HaKadosh here on the earth so that he can bring the truth to his people, to let us know we don't need to go after them and their religion, but we can call on Rawach HaKadosh to show us how to find our culture and our worship and his ministry. Right? So anyone who worships and call our Heavenly Father Elohim and call him Yeshua or whatever names that these fakers use, you're worshiping a pagan god. I'm warning you. It's not that difficult to figure out the truth because we have the Spirit of truth with us. Rawak Ot Amath. He is the Spirit of truth. And he will reveal to us what we need to know so that we do not go after pagan gods and worship them. But our people are stubborn. We have always wanted to worship other gods from the get-go, from the very beginning. And we still want to worship other gods except Allah Hayah. And the first thing they want to plead ignorance. But that same idea of ignorance is going to draw you all the way to the lake of fire. All right? The lake of fire is waiting for a lot of our people because of this same thing, ignorance. We have the title of our Savior, our Abba and Rawak HaKadosh. Allah Hayam is a title, it means ascended glory. So let us look closely now at this 6-pointed star and see what it's truly about. That these demons love. If they're supposed to be Roman Catholic, this is another point. They're supposed to be Roman Catholics, right? Why are they wearing a 6-pointed star? The Star of the Y, which is supposed to be a Jewish symbol, which is supposed to be symbolic of Judaism. Huh? Ask yourself that question. Why are they wearing it? All right. Let's look at Acts chapter 7, verse 38. This is he that was in the congregation in the wilderness with the angel which spoke to him in Mount Sinai, and with our fathers, who received the lively oracles to give unto us. Now this is Stephen, and he was speaking. Right? This is when Saul had him arrested, and he was speaking. Verse 39, to whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Matzarayim. For verse 40, saying unto Ahawaran, make us gods to go before us, for this Masha, who brought us out of the land of Matzarayim, we do not know what has become of him. So that was our forefathers in the wilderness. When they did not want to go up to the mountain to get the law written on their hearts, they said, if we go up, we'll be killed. And Al-Hayam said, it is true. And why they were going to be killed is because they had the golden calf in their hearts. It is a pagan idol that they did not want to get rid of. So when Masha went up to the mountain on their behalf to receive the law for himself and for them, they went to Ahawaran and said, you know what, he's gone a bit too long. We want you to make us gods. And they made the golden calf. So this is the story about it. This is what Stephen was reciting and reminded them of how wicked our forefathers were. And these ones today, in his day, they were just as wicked. Okay. Saying unto Ahawaran, make us gods to go before us, for this Masha, who brought us out of the land of Matzarayim, we do not know what has become of him. And they made a calf in those days and offered sacrifice unto the idol and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. This is the problem with our people. This is a problem with people in general. If you make it, they will worship it. If they make it, they will worship it. That's why when they have good jobs and they have their little trinkets, they can't give it up because the trinkets become their idols. It is something that their hands not necessarily made, but they bought it. How did they buy it? Because of the work of their hands, where they make the money and they were able to go out and purchase the item. So that's the works of their hand. And that's why people don't want to give up their houses, they don't want to give up their cars, they don't want to give up their jobs, they don't want to give up their lives, because all of the above are idols. Because they made it. They made themselves, because they went to school, they went to university, they made it in the job. They were able to climb the ladder, the corporate ladder, make it to somewhat, not quite the top, but high enough. They can't give that up because that's the work of their hands. It's their idol. They're proud about it. They love to boast about it. My name is so-and-so and I have all these alphabet letters behind my name. They're proud of it because that is the work of their hands. That is mammon. That is this golden calf. That's why our people don't want to give up their substance for Al-Hayam. Verse 42. Then Al-Hayam turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, the sun, the moon, and the stars. As it is written in the book of the prophets, O you house of Yashrael, have you offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? What he is asking them, for the full 40 years that you were in the wilderness, were all your sacrifices offered to me? No, because they offered sacrifices to pagan gods. That's why he destroyed them in the wilderness. Verse 43. Yea, you took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan. Let me read that again. Yea, you took up the tabernacle of Moloch. Moloch is the same of Molech. It is the god that was used when they sacrificed to this god. They throw their babies in the fire in this god. It's usually like a bull, the image of a bull, and there's a fire going inside this bull and they throw the babies in there. All right. So this is Moloch, and this is what's happening today. When you let your babies go to school, you're offering them up to Moloch. It doesn't have to be a real fire, but the same demon here that consumed this child in the fire is consuming your children in the school system and leading them to the hell's fire. Don't think that your children can't go to hell. All right. And the star of your god, Remphan, figures which you made to worship them. And I will carry you away beyond Babylon. Confusion. So Remphan is that six-pointed star, by the way. And it's connected to Moloch. Let's look at Amos chapter 5 verse 21. I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Though you offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. This is Elohim talking to our people. Neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts. Take away from me the noise of your songs. Don't even sing to me. Because your hearts are not for me. Your lips may offer me praise, but your hearts are far away from me. And this is how our people are today. For I will not hear the melody of your viols. That's the musical instruments that they were using. But let judgment run down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. Have you offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Yasha'al? Here another prophet is asking the same question from Elohim to our people. Were you sincere for the full 40 years in offering up your sacrifices to me and me alone? No. Verse 26. But you have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch and Kayun, your images. And Kayun, by the way, is Remphan, the star of your God. So Kayun and Remphan are stars that represent a god, and that's connected to Moloch or Molech, which you made to yourselves. Remember, they made them to themselves, so that's why they worship them. Verse 27, therefore will I cause you to go into captivity beyond Damascus, said Yahweh, whose name is Elohim Ol Sabaoth, Elohim of hosts. Stephen was martyred for his testimony above. So Acts chapter 7 verse 38 all the way through to 43 was his testimony, part of his testimony, and he was martyred by Saul, the one that people love to quote and recite his epistles. That one. He quoted from the prophet Amos when he was testifying of Hamashiach. All right. The star of Remphan is the six-pointed star that those people in our land worship. Even our brethren who follow after their gods and worship like they do. Get rid of that six-pointed star. Get rid of the five-pointed star. In fact, have no images. All right. To represent our Heavenly Father. The star of Remphan is also called the star of David in Judaism. It is also called Kayun, as prophesied by Amos, which is always associated with the god Moloch or Molech. Kayun is an Assyrian Babylonian god of the planet Saturn. Now we're getting close here. Pay attention. It is the Assyrian Babylonian god of the planet Saturn. Therefore, its worshippers will worship on its day called the Day of Saturn or Saturday. Hello. Have you heard that? When you worship on Sunday, you're worshiping on the day of the sun, God. When you worship on a Saturday, you worship on the day of Saturn, which is another god. And we know that these people in our land worship Friday evening to Saturday evening. And then some more foolish people, they claim, well, 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening is sufficient. So Saturday is the true day of worship. But all you're doing is worshiping Saturn. No, Allah Hayam gave us numbers for the days. The pagans gave us names based on their gods for the days of the week. I did a study about that sometime way back. I can't even remember which study it would be under. Maybe it's under the study to do with our covenant. Anyways, or maybe it's to do with our language. I think it was that one. The language of Oberai. It will be in there. Anyways, Allah Hayam numbered the days of the week. And it starts from the evening to the next evening. He called it evening to the morning, but it's from evening to evening. Not changing what he said, because the day runs through to the next evening, and the evening is the start of the next day. Our seventh day has no name. It does not have a name. So when we worship on the seventh day, according to his calendar, not the Gregorian calendar, by the way, but when we do it according to his calendar, it may once or twice in the year fall on a Saturday. But that's not because we're going by their calendar. We have canceled their calendar and we're using the calendar of Allah Hayam. So if it falls on either a Saturday or Sunday, it doesn't matter. Allah Hayam knows that we're following his calendar. And it just so happened that their calendar coincided with our seventh day to be either Sunday or Saturday. So that does not matter one bit. But when we determine to worship Allah Hayam using the Gregorian calendar or the calendar of the fake ones in our land, then it matters. So you want to worship on a Sunday because you claim that that's the seventh day, that's a lie from the pit of hell. You want to worship every week on a Saturday for the whole year, that is a lie from the pit of hell. You're worshiping a pagan god. All right, it's easy to figure out the calendar. And one day, when I have time, I will put the calendar out there, the calendar that I'm following. But these lessons, these studies are more important right now. If you go to the book of Enoch, the book of Hanawak, he will show you how to figure out the 7-day week according to the sun and also the moon. All right. But maybe it's something that I have to do sooner rather than later. If I'm going to say stop worshiping on a Saturday, then maybe I should give you the correct day to worship, right? So maybe it's something that I need to work on. All right. Food for thought and prayer. Okay, so the Egyptian god that is the counterpart of this Assyrian or Babylonian god is Osiris, the god of the dead and resurrected. Now, does this sound familiar? They always want to mimic Allah Hayam, whether the son or the father. Osiris is also known as Nimrod in ancient Egypt. It is here where we see how these pagan gods have much more significance to tie the Roman Catholic Church to the worship of ancient Egyptian gods. We know that they already have the cross. They fed us the cross and said that Christ died on the cross. All right. But our Allah Hayam, Hamashiach, did not die on the cross. He died on a stake. So their God died on the cross. Our Alahayam, Hamashiach, died on a stake. We looked at that in the last lesson. So all these gods are interconnected to each other, counterparts depending on the nations who worship them. It is also here that we will see why Jesus is the God of the Roman Catholic Church and Christian churches. And Mary is the goddess of the Roman Catholic Church. Mary is worshipped as the Mother of God. But Mary is actually Semiramis, Isis, Astarte, Ishtar. Those are all the names for Mary. They are pagan gods and pagan gods and goddesses, or pagan god and goddess. Talking about Jesus and Mary. So Jesus, being the son, Tammuz, was born of Semiramis, who is Isis, and her son husband Nimrod, who is Osiris. So Jesus, being the son, he's the son that was born from Semiramis, who is Isis, who is also called Isis, and her son husband, because Semiramis married her son, who became her husband, who is Nimrod or Osiris. And that's why even people in our own community, our own brethren, they hate, they try to discount the Father, the Son, and the Ruach HaKadosh, because they figured that what the pagans have done, we are buying into their pagan beliefs with the Father, the Son, and Ruach HaKadosh. Although some of our own brethren will say that the Holy Spirit is a female. All right? Now, I don't know how they arrive at this, because when Hamashiach speaks of Ruach HaKadosh, he calls him a he. Okay, but we put that aside. But they try to stay away from Father, Son, and Ruach HaKadosh, because they say, well, you know, the threefold Alahayam, well, not threefold, but three persons with the title Alahayam is a lot like Semiramis, Tammuz, and Nimrod, or Tammuz, Isis, and Osiris. All right? So it's almost like they want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. The pagans are doing it this way. We have no right doing it like them. When in fact, it was the history, the prophecy, the word of Alahayam was before this contamination. They stole. Satan is a copycat. He stole our history. He stole some of our word, and he twisted it to make it to be his. That's why a lot of pagan religions have this wife, husband, and even with the immaculate conception type thing, right? So our brethren want to throw all of that away. And I already explained how Mariam, who is the true young lady that was impregnated, all right? I explained all of that in the previous lesson. But don't throw out the truth because it sounds similar to what the devils believe. Theirs is a copy, and what they've done is contaminated. If you look at the story behind their theology, the story behind Semiramis and Nimrod, or Isis and Osiris, if you look at the stories behind these entities, it's very demonic, it's very evil. But there's nothing demonic or evil about our history. Nothing at all. It is all wholesome, it is good. And it's truth too. If you look at the Jewish calendar, you'll see that one of the months is called Tammuz. Isn't that something? And we still have our brethren using their calendar, using their months, and Tammuz, who is a god, a pagan god, that was born on December 25th. All right? Okay. Our brethren still use it. Now, is this a coincidence, or is this showing us who these Jewish people really worship? It is showing us who they really worship, how they're all connected together. If the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church is wearing the six-pointed star and he's not Jewish, he's of their bloodline, yeah, but he is not, like, the religion that he is in is Catholicism, whereas this is Judaism. All right? So why is he wearing a six-pointed star? Okay. Now, the six-pointed star is also seen in the Hindu religion, which is one of the religions of India. So here we are seeing all these religions are connecting to each other, whether Judaism, Roman Catholicism, ancient Egyptian religion, Hebrew, Israelite camps. I throw them in there too, because they're walking around with this six-pointed star all over their bodies and calling on Elohim. All right. And even Hinduism. But these are just a few to start. Hence the reason why I said that when the whore of Babylon rises up, the one thing that will draw all these religions together under its wings will be the day that this whore will declare that all religions worship the same gods, even from the beginning, except, of course, Yashraal, when they are in covenant with him. But by the time this whore rises up, the northern kingdom will be already in their land. The southern kingdom was long gone. Below are two charts showing what the six-pointed star really represents. Male and female genitals. When combined, created the perfect abomination, two genders in one body. So when we look at, I'm going to pause here for a second and look at the Star of David here. You have the blue triangle pointed upwards. That is the male, and is symbolic of Shira. Shira is a Hindu male god, and it's the male god of feminine energy. Remember we talked about that earlier, how some men look so soft because they're projecting this soft feminine energy, and then you have the women having that strong male energy. These are this Star of David, Remphan, Kayun. All right. So now you have the red triangle pointed downward, is symbolic of the female womb. All right, just like the ankh, you have the curvature at the top, that's symbolic of the womb, and then you have the ovaries, which is the cross beam, and then the lung part of it that looks like a stick that represents the male genitalia. Here we have a symbol with the male and female genitalia. These people are obsessed with male and female genitalia. Obsessed. So we have let me see where I've left off. The Shakti is the female Hindu goddess of masculine energy. And this is all connected to the Baphomet. You see, the Baphomet is both male and female in one body. Shiva is also called the destroyer. So if you look in the picture next to the star, you see another star with a dancing creature. That is Shiva. But before I go on to talk about Shiva, let me finish the writing in the middle here, because it talks about the blue triangle is male, which is Shira. The red triangle is female, which is Shakti. And together they are united as one, which is Murugan. And Murugan is the god that represents union of polarities, meaning male and female. All right? male, female, up, down, just like the Baphomet, polarities. Now, Shiva which is this creature here dancing in this circle in the midst of the Star of David, or rather, the shape, the dance, the posture of this Shiva in here creates the shape of the Star of David. This is the God, and it's called the destroyer and the restorer. So this is what I was trying to remember. This is what I was trying to remember. Destroyer and restorer. And I think that goes back with Baphomet. Let me see, back here. Yes, destroy, rebuild, solve, coagula. This is the one that I was remembering. All right, let's move on. Still got a lot more slides to go through. So this creature here, you call it the dancing Shiva, is the reason, hence the, this is associated with CERN. I don't know if you've ever heard of CERN. Let me read on here. Hence the reason why this god is affiliated with CERN, the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, Switzerland, where you will see its statue displayed in front of its laboratory. So there's a statue of this dancing Shiva, which is destroyer and restorer. So they want to destroy something to restore it to something else. And this is what the CERN is all about. Let's see what they say. Let's look at the statue next. This is the statue of Dancing Shiva. This is in front of the CERN building in Switzerland. Now, this statue of the Dancing Shiva was said to be a gift from India to the CERN laboratory in Geneva, Switzerland, to celebrate its association with CERN. Now, what does all of this mean? Why would India care a hoot about CERN? Because it is about presenting to the world the destroyer who is soon to come. Remember, I told you about Apollyon. Apollyon is called the destroyer. His other name is Abaddon or Abadawan, according to our language. Azazel. This is it here. It's a male with female energy. In other words, it has both. It is a god of both genders, male and female. Don't worry about the fact they call it male with female energy. The god of female energy. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But if you look, this doesn't look very masculine, doesn't it? Look at the shape of the leg. It's very feminine. Okay. So what is CERN? It is claimed that CERN is trying to discover the God particle, the glue that holds all creation together, what the universe is made of and how it works. Then there are rumors that they're collecting antimatter in order to unleash the fallen angels in this dimension. But last and certainly not least, that CERN is a portal through which they are hoping to bring these fallen angels into our dimension to continue their evil deeds. It's also said that they're looking for ways to release the fallen angels that have been locked away since the flood. Okay, so angels, whether of Allah Hayam or the fallen angels, are spirits, and so they have no true access to our dimension unless a portal is opened in their dimension to our dimension. This is speaking of the fallen angels, as Allah Hayam will allow his angels easy access into our dimension at his command. So even Allah Hayam can shut off any dimensions, any portals that will allow these fallen angels to come into our dimension. That's why this same CERN has been breaking down for on and off over the last few years. because the father is like, he just shut it down. All right. So now let us connect all this to the Roman Catholic Church. Shiva, a destroying angel, is also a restorer. The eye in the pyramid, with its Latin phrase, a new world order, in order for something new to come forth, the old one must be destroyed. And this has been the desire of the presidents of USA since Grandpa Bush was president. And they have been carrying out their plans even while we were watching, eyes wide shut. We've been watching with our eyes wide shut. And this is why they have been successful in carrying out their agendas, because they have entertained us to the point where we are so consumed with entertainment that it's right before our very eyes, but we can't receive it. Only those that have been awakened by Allah Hayam will see the truth for what it really is. All right? But the greater majority of people on this earth are sleeping, even the ones that claim that they're awakened. All right. But it's right before our very eyes that these things have been operating, have been happening, all these events, these evil events. But we've gotten to a point of no return. We can't stop them because Allah Hayam is getting ready to destroy these devils and their agents. And he's getting ready to restore his people and his son on the earth. Okay. So since Grandpa Bush was president, they've been carrying out their plans. They've been talking about this NWO all the way back then. All right. So Shiva, that's supposed to be Shiva, is dancing on a demon by the name of Aspamara. This devil here is standing upon is another demon called Aspamara, which means ignorance. And according to the myth, in order to ensure the knowledge in the world is preserved, he cannot be killed. If you understand what that is saying, in order to keep people ignorant in this earth, this demon has to remain alive. That's why I keep saying to you from the very beginning, don't be ignorant. Ignorance is not bliss. If you're ignorant, that means that you're operating under the influence of Aspamara. And because the powers that be, they don't want you to know the truth, they want you to remain in ignorance, they entertain you. They entertain you. All right? So yes, sorry, I got a little distracted here with my phone. Yes, okay, I'm gonna have to ignore that. Okay, let's move on. So according to the myth, in order to ensure the knowledge in the world is preserved, he cannot be killed. So here's the reason why ignorance is rampant on the earth. Okay? Ignorance is rampant on the earth. So let's move on to the next slide. I'm telling you. Okay. What we have here is